Take a look at a modern map of the Middle East. The borders, the buffer zones, and the deeply entrenched conflicts we see today can largely be traced back to a single 144-hour window in the summer of 1967. Early 1967 was highly volatile. This map shows growing pressure on Israel's borders as guerrilla raids from Syria and Jordan draw heavy reprisals. Then, a match in the powder keg. Soviet intelligence falsely claims Israel is massing troops for a Syrian invasion. The intelligence was entirely false. But between the constant border skirmishes and the involvement of superpower misinformation, both sides were quickly locked into a cycle of paranoia, where backing down felt impossible. Believing an Israeli attack on Syria is imminent, Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser decides to make a dramatic show of force. He orders his military to rapidly advance into the Sinai Peninsula. Nasser then takes it a step further. The clock starts ticking at 7:45 a.m. on June 5, 1967. Israeli fighter jets drop low over the Mediterranean and the desert, flying under strict radio silence. This is Operation Focus. They are sending over 200 aircraft, committing nearly their entire air force in a massive, coordinated first strike. This aerial surveillance photo shows exactly what they had to hit. The red circles indicate parked aircraft and runways across 11 different Egyptian airfields. Because the Israeli jets flew so low, they slipped entirely beneath Egyptian radar. The results are devastating. Within the first 6 hours of the war, 452 Arab aircraft are destroyed, mostly while still sitting on the tarmac. By comparison, Israeli losses are in the single digits. By wiping out the enemy's air forces on Morning 1, Israel achieves absolute air supremacy. Any Arab ground forces moving through the open desert are now completely unprotected from above, effectively deciding the outcome of the conflict before the ground invasions even get underway. This tactical map breaks down how the ground war opened on the southern front. You can see these three distinct vectors as Israeli armored divisions surge directly into the Sinai Desert. The initial tank battles in the sand are ferocious, but without any air cover, the Egyptian High Command orders a massive retreat, which quickly devolves into a panicked, disorganized rout through the narrow desert passes. Meanwhile, the war in the center requires a completely different approach. Here, Israeli paratroopers are fighting inch by inch in brutal, close-quarters urban combat through the complex streets of Jerusalem. After intense fighting, they secure the Old City, leading to an iconic radio broadcast reporting that the Temple Mount had been captured. Up on the northern front, Israel was initially hesitant to engage Syria, but after Syrian artillery began relentlessly pounding Israeli civilian farming communities in the valleys below, a third line of combat was unavoidable. This forces a grueling uphill assault. Israeli infantry and bulldozers have to slowly push their way up the steep, rocky incline of the Golan Heights to clear out deep trenches and heavily fortified concrete bunkers. By simultaneously executing a fast-paced desert armor surge, a dense urban siege, and a vertical infantry climb, a single military organization managed to overpower three very different geographic theaters at the same time. By 6 p.m. on June 10th, a ceasefire halts the fighting. Looking at the post-war satellite map, the Middle East is unrecognizable. Israel is now occupying the Sinai Peninsula, the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, and the Golan Heights. In less than a week, Israel's controlled territory has more than doubled in size. But overwhelming military victory does not bring political resolution. A few months later, on September 1st, defeated Arab leaders convene in Khartoum, Sudan. This document outlines their defiant response to the trauma of the sudden loss. The summit passes a resolution centered around the three no's: no peace with Israel, no recognition of Israel, and no negotiations with Israel. It is the ultimate historical irony of the conflict. A military campaign executed with incredible speed ultimately created an intractable geopolitical stalemate, locking the region into a conflict dispute that remains unresolved today.